There's so much relationship advice out there that sounds so wise and mature and balanced, emotionally intelligent. And in a healthy relationship, so much of this advice is actually really helpful. You use I statements, right? You assume positive intent. That's so important. Take space when you're flooded so you don't yell at each other. Learn how to validate each other's feelings. Use active listening. Don't bring up the past. Be a good communicator, always take accountability, look at your part. And I think that when two people are relatively healthy, obviously that can help you repair. It's going to help you have a good and healthy relationship. But the problem is when abuse is happening, all of that is trash. In fact, it's dangerous because abuse is not a normal relationship problem. That's exactly the reason why you should never go into couples therapy with an abuser. Because the problem is not a breakdown in the relationship. It's that the person is choosing to be abusive. Abuse isn't two people need to communicate better or two people are just misunderstanding each other and you need a therapist to come in and help you communicate or help you learn how to hear each other better. Absolutely not. So if you have a couples therapist and they're not assessing for abuse as the first thing that they're doing when they sit down with you, they may not say this to you, but they should be doing it in their mind. They're going to give you advice that is meant for healthy couples, and they're going to hand that advice to your abuser. And now this guy has better language. He knows how to make you sound like the problem. He has better ways to avoid accountability. And now you're going to leave therapy and go, maybe I am the problem. But that's the danger. This isn't anti-therapy or anti-couples therapy. I'm actually pro all of those things, except when there's abuse. And the problem is, if you yourself are watching videos because you're trying to understand, is this abuse or toxic? Is this trauma? Is he avoidant? I don't know. Maybe he's a narcissist. I don't know. I'm so confused. You're not going to go seek a couples therapist that understands abuse because you don't know if it's abuse. That's why people who say you just need to talk to a therapist, don't talk to your friends, don't slander your spouse, don't tell people your problems, go talk to a therapist, you're going to talk to the wrong therapist. Therapists are generally, not all, but generally not trained in domestic abuse. Most are not. So you're going to be with the wrong person giving you the wrong advice. Now, couples therapy can be amazing when both people are honest and acting in good faith. But the abuser sitting in the room, sitting there and nobody has actually said this is abuse, then the advice is going to protect the wrong person. So in this video, I'm going to break down really popular couples therapy advice that will actually be weaponized against victims, what most therapists who are practicing this are missing, and why every single couples therapist should be trained and in fact required to be trained to assess for abuse before they start treating this relationship like there's communication problems. My name is Lisa Sonni. I'm a certified relationship coach. I'm the author of multiple books, and I specialize in toxic and abusive relationships. More specifically, I expose what abusive men do so that women can see it, get really clear, and start to make decisions and rebuild their lives. Why don't we start the video off with the most common couples therapy advice, which is use I statements. It is so common, right? I feel instead of you always. Not bad advice in a healthy relationship, okay? Because when you use language, it's a little bit softer. It lowers defensiveness. You start off with you never and you always, and immediately the other person gets their back up. So this makes sense. It helps somebody hear the impact of what they've done to you, but they're not necessarily going to come out feeling attacked immediately. Unless, of course, they're an abuser who feels attacked no matter how you word anything. In an abusive relationship, the problem is pretty much never that she found the wrong way to say it. But that's pretty much what an abuser will say, right? You brought it up at the wrong time, in the wrong way, with the wrong words, on the wrong day, whatever. So she can be soft and be careful. And women are always describing this to me, right? He tells me that it's my tone, it's my attitude. And when I fix those things, then it's my face, then it's my body language, then it's the day that I brought it up, then it was the fact that it was after work, before work, on Saturday, whatever. You're just wrong. It's crazy making, but that's the point. So she can do all these things and be calm with the right tone, with every disclaimer in the world and tick all the boxes. And this guy's still going to twist what she's saying. So she could say something so basic like, I feel scared when you yell. Oh, so now you're calling me abusive. Straw man argument. But anyway, right? Or you make me sound like a monster. you immediately default to like, okay, wait a minute, that's not what I said. I didn't say that. I just said, I feel scared when you yell. But again, it's like, this is why I can't talk to you. You call everything abuse. But do you notice that you're not talking about her feeling scared anymore? Do you notice that you're not talking about the fact that he's yelling anymore? She ends up defending whether or not she even had the right to say that she's scared. So the I statement doesn't create safety. It gives him an opportunity to attack her reality. I speak to thousands of women who tell me that their husbands or partners, boyfriends, whatever, are using therapy language as a weapon. I feel really unsafe when you criticize me. Excuse me, you're the perpetrator of abuse, right? Oh, I feel so unsafe. Sure you do. You feel disrespected when she brings things up. Yeah, because anything that isn't compliance feels like disrespect to an abusive man. She's asking questions and he's like, I feel controlled. Excuse you? I asked what time you would be home. That's a normal thing to ask your spouse, right? When you tell me that I hurt you, I feel attacked. Well, that's not a normal way to feel when someone uses all of the appropriate ways to communicate and then you flip it and suddenly you're the victim. That's Darvo. So accountability is an injury to an abusive man. But if he words it in a way that's like an I statement, in a way that a therapist on its face might say that's the right way to word it, now he's doing the right thing and you're the problem. And we're not talking about the fact that he's abusive. And this works so well because now you're going to work harder. You're going to rewrite the text message and be careful. You're going to not want to have face-to-face conversations because he twists that. So you're going to write it down in an email to your own husband or a text message because you want it to be in writing to prove that you said it in the gentler way, to say there's no tone because it's written. How can he still say that? But he will, and you think, how do I say this? Like, there's no winning. You're in a double bind. That's why. You think you should have said it differently, but it was never the sentence. It was never how you said it. The issue is that he doesn't want accountability. An I statement is not going to make accountability happen with some dude who completely avoids it. Now, the second one is that both people contribute to the dynamic. And I love this one insofar as I hate it because I hear it all the time. You see it in my comment sections. I'm talking about a man being abusive and it's a man walks into the comment section as they do. And it's like, both people, what happened first? Let's not pretend that women don't provoke men as if men don't have choices. If your wife is constantly provoking you, if men are really claiming this, women just provoke men, you should probably stay away from the women who provoke men. You should leave her. You should divorce her instead of abuse her. Abuse is not the response to provocation. Leaving someone is. That's normal. Why don't men leave, right? It doesn't make any sense. Both people contribute to relationships, to healthy relationships, possibly even toxic relationships, right? Two people can be toxic. I will stand 10 toes down and die on this hill. Mutual abuse does not exist. There are no professionals, true, actual professionals that believe that mutual abuse exists. Power and control is the factor in abusive relationships. One person has the power, one person doesn't. One person is attempting to control the other, and one person is being controlled. How can you have a power imbalance if it's mutual abuse and you're abusing each other? Two people can yell at each other, toxic. That's not mutual abuse. In a healthy situation, both people contribute to patterns. Like one person pursues, one person withdraws, somebody gets pissy or sharp, the other one shuts down. I get it, right? Avoiding, escalating, whatever. Those are patterns. Call them toxic patterns. Fine, okay. So look at the cycle. That makes sense. But abuse isn't just a cycle. That's not what it is at all. It's about domination. It has a power structure. And abuse has one person benefiting from control. So an example might be he lies and then she becomes really suspicious. He withholds something and so she chases, or he mocks her and then she cries, or he intimidates her and she has a reaction to that intimidation. Well, in couples therapy, you're going to sit down and some untrained therapist is going to say, well, let's look at how you both contribute to this cycle, right? So now his lying and her suspicion are these equal problems. And we're going to look at these things and we're going to talk about how he feels about her suspicion. But we're not going to talk about the fact that he's a persistent liar. Or we'll talk about him lying, but we're going to give equal weight to suspicion when, let's be honest, if somebody's lying to you, forget genders. If somebody's lying to you, it is normal. In fact, it is a good thing to be suspicious of a liar. Like that makes sense. But when we treat them both like equal problems, it's crazy, right? So he shows her contempt and she cries, and that's the dynamic. That's what a couples therapist would say. This is the dynamic, right? You do this, and then she does that, and this is the pattern, and let's get out of this. No, because we're talking about abuse. So she's going to start thinking like, oh, I don't own enough. You're right. I do cry when you scream at me. I should try to not cry. That's a normal reaction. Crying is involuntary. What the hell? But of course, piss off to the men who say women use tears to manipulate. You don't like when you make your wife cry, so you say it's manipulation so you don't have to take accountability. Face first into my point. She feels like her reactions make it worse, so she tries to stop and she tries to heal her part, and then maybe he'll stop. She's working on herself. She's stuck in this self-improvement mode that's never going to get better because abuse is absolutely, unequivocally, provably not a mutual dynamic. Am I making myself as clear as possible? Because I have obviously an intensely strong opinion around people who say, no, that's not true because I've seen it. I've seen mutual abuse. You've seen a victim freaking out. You've seen a victim reacting poorly. What is a good reaction to abuse other than leaving? You've seen a victim reacting to abuse, and that can look like mutual abuse to people who don't know squat about abuse. But the thing with abuse, people think they know relationships, right? Because relationships are a human experience. We've all had relationships with romantic partners, mothers, fathers, friends, siblings. Relationships are everywhere. So everybody thinks they're an expert in it. But you're not an expert in it if you haven't studied it. If you've been in one abusive relationship, you're probably still not an expert in it. It shows up in so many ways. There's lots of different kinds of abuse. The experts believe, the experts know mutual abuse is not real. Now, the third point is to assume positive intent, which again, beautiful. In a safe relationship, absolutely. It's not good to assume the worst. Every time your partner makes a mistake, you assume the worst and you assume that they have bad intent. Give your partner the benefit of the doubt. Truly phenomenal, healthy relationship advice. Truly horrible relationship advice if you're in an abusive relationship. Assuming positive intent literally trains women to override the evidence that is slapping them in the face. He could humiliate her in front of friends, and she knows that it was meant to jab, right? But then she has to think, maybe I'm too sensitive. Maybe he was just joking. I'm going to assume that he didn't mean to hurt me. Let's assume. He would never. I don't want to think that about my partner. I get that. Women are already drowning in traumatic cognitive dissonance and confused about the two versions they see. We don't need to assume positive intent. Abuse is a choice. Abuse is on purpose. It's not always calculated and strategic. I would say that it's opportunistic in a lot of cases, but it is on purpose. Abuse is intentional. There's actually a phenomenal book called Cruelty by Nature, The Science of Intentional Abuse. It's by Dr. Peter Salerno. Read it. It's amazing. But all of this advice, it takes her discernment and it throws it out the window. And then we replace that with the benefit of the doubt, which always benefits the abusive man because that is where the pattern is going to hide itself. She's going to explain away the obvious and she's not going to trust herself to say, that felt intentional. And a really quick way to know that something is intentional is when tears flow from your eyeballs and a man with eyes himself can see you and hear the words you're saying, you're hurting me, and he keeps doing it. He's doing it on purpose because he knows that it hurts you because you said that it hurts you. And even if you didn't say that it hurt you, which I know that you did, let's go back to the tears flowing from your eyeballs, okay? He knows. Everyone on this earth knows that tears are not a good thing typically, right? We're not getting confused. Oh, tears of joy. That's clearly not what's happening here. He knows he's hurting you. He doesn't care. Stop giving him the benefit of the doubt. I think one of the best pieces of relationship advice is never assume positive intent. If you're being abused, you're just going to self-abandon inside of this pattern. Number 4, take space when you're flooded, right? You're upset, take a break, walk away. I get it. You're overwhelmed. Do some people need to calm down? Absolutely, right? Like I can feel that, not everybody has distress tolerance skills. When you're heated, you say things you don't mean. I totally get it. So let's look at a healthy way to describe this. I'm feeling super angry. I'm getting hot right now. I need half an hour. Can we just take a break? Right? It doesn't have to be all fluffy, perfect language. Babe, I feel angry. I just need a little break. Not everybody talks like that when they're already flooded or getting flooded. So it might be like, oh my God, I need half an hour. I need space. Okay, that's not inherently abusive. I'll come back. Let's come back to this. Give me half an hour. Give me a day even, which might be a bit long, but take it. Like this matters, but I'm so angry right now. We're going to finish this conversation, but I need to calm down. That is different from withdrawal. But space in an abusive relationship can be like, I didn't talk to her for 3 days because I was taking space. So let's say she brings up something that he did and he shuts down, he's cold, right? So now he refuses affection, he stops answering, he sleeps on the couch as some kind of pissy protest, but he acts normal with everybody else, but he makes the house feel frozen. And then he's like, I was just taking space to regulate. Were you, or were you stonewalling her? So the therapist might go, okay, how can he better word his need for space? No, it's emotional punishment. She chases, she apologizes, she drops the issue, she walks on eggshells for days until he comes back, but she needs repair. Well, that's a problem to him. So she doesn't bring up pain, because if she brings up anything he did, he's going to shut down, stonewall, and do this cycle. So that's not helpful, not at all. The next one is don't bring up the past, which again, in a healthy relationship, sure, you don't weaponize old mistakes. You don't stockpile all these grievances from the past and come out with your notebook and like all the things that the person did. When you drag old fights that have been repaired, that are truly in the past into the present, you're harming your own relationship, unequivocally. But in an abusive relationship, you ever notice how the past is the present? You ever notice how the past was yesterday or last week and it's never been resolved? It's actually a pattern, and there's a lot of evidence of this pattern. So all of this explains why it hurts right now. But for him, it's, my God, stop bringing up the past. Why are you always angry? My God, it's like you love to argue. You're so ridiculous. If we break up, it's going to be because you can't get over shit. This is your fault. You hold on to things. And then you feel like, oh my God, is that what I'm doing? Am I really not able to let go? Why can't I let go of this? Because he never apologized. Now, let's say he did apologize. I'm sorry, my God. Is that really an apology? Because there's no accountability there, right? So if you bring it up and he says, why are you so upset? It's like, you did the same thing last week and last month and after my birthday and when I was sick. Oh, you always bring up the past. It's because it's never resolved. So now women start to isolate each one. It actually trains you away from the pattern. You start to go, this was that, and this was that, and this was that, and you don't connect those things. It's like each one of those things happened alone, but you're not naming the accumulation, and actually you need to be doing that. You don't need to accept the idea that bringing up a pattern is unfair because it benefits him. Really see that. When you start to step back and go like, if I see his frame, if I do this his way, do we benefit from that or does he benefit from that? Because here's the thing, right? If you're only allowed to talk about today, if you're only allowed to talk about what he calls the present, how can you prove the pattern? Patterns happen over time. So again, not bringing up the past, sure, that one thing he did 5 years ago that has never happened again, you might want to work on getting over that. Although I will say, if something so bad happened in your relationship that you actually can't get over it, even if the person took full accountability, think of like cheating would be a good example, right? He cheated once 5 years ago. He's otherwise not abusive. You can't get past that and you keep bringing it up. That's a problem. And I can see why he would be upset by that, having something that he has owned and felt bad for and repented for constantly thrown in his face. Maybe you do need couples therapy and that might help. But if he's cheating regularly or he cheated once and you haven't caught him again, but he's acting suspicious, there's no transparency, there's DMs in his Instagram, whatever, that's a pattern. But if you're not allowed to bring up why you're feeling this way now because of what he did in the past, he's using that to shut down the conversation. Now, the next one is validating each other's feelings, which again, so great. In a normal relationship, pretty necessary, right? That's necessary. But in abuse, his feelings become the center of her harm. So when he hurts her, she'll say, well, that was cruel. And he's like, I feel so attacked. I feel judged. So she's supposed to validate that he feels attacked and judged by her just saying, you hurt me. It's the fastest way to derail the conversation. And couples therapists are literally saying that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to comfort your abuser and reassure and validate that they're being defensive. Of course you feel defensive when I say that you hurt me. Like, what? That is crazy making. His feelings about accountability suddenly outrank everything he did to her. That's bananas. Bananas. Couples therapists need to assess for abuse. And some will say that they do, but if you're not trained in it, if you're not actually trained, if you haven't taken extensive training, you're going to miss covert abuse. Like, the amount of couples therapists that think that hitting is abuse and nothing else is alarming. From where I sit, I speak to so many women who've had these really terrible experiences with therapists. I also deal with many women who had wonderful experiences. I even have a great experience with couples therapy. I also have bad ones. And I collaborate with therapists all the time, and I think therapy is phenomenal. But I don't think that untrained therapists should be talking to couples. 25% of couples are experiencing abuse. So those couples are the most likely ones to end up in a therapist's office trying to get help. And then you're sitting there with an untrained therapist? It's crazy. You have to be looking to see if she's even safe to talk about it. You have to be able to assess for the power imbalance. You have to be looking at what's not being said in the room as well as what is being said. Do both people really want repair? What does that look like? And how would a therapist assess for that? How would a therapist be able to see that if both parties seemingly say, hey, we're both here, we both want to be here? There are ways that they can look, and this is not a tutorial for therapists. They need to figure that out in their training programs, not me, but they need to be better trained because it's going to serve their clientele so much better. So I'm not saying that couples therapy is bad. I'm saying that it's extremely dangerous in an abusive situation. So relationship advice makes sense. And all of the advice is good advice only in a healthy relationship. So if you're feeling like these things aren't working for you, probably a good sign that you're in an abusive relationship. Abuse changes the meaning of the advice. Both people contribute, assume positive intent. Bleh, no, this is not an afterthought. Someone saying the word abuse cannot be the way that a therapist assesses it because people generally don't know that they're being abused. Most women I speak to had no idea until they started watching videos and start seeing behavior and then going, oh my God, that's what this is. Subscribe if you're not already. And if you're in a relationship like this or you're out of a relationship like this trying to heal, you can work with me one-on-one or you can join any of my group coaching programs. I co-host a few different programs with Dr. Peter Salerno over 12 weeks with just 8 to 10 women per cohort. So please check out lisasonni.com and see which program might be best for you. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.